Okay, I've seen multiple parents share on Facebook this story. Okay, and let you know, Ashley is a member of this page, and in fact, Ashley is the one that shared this article, and I wanted to provide a little of my insight because I've had multiple cases involving AngelSense. And trying to navigate its use inside the public school. And I'm going to provide a link for AngelSense for those of you who don't know what AngelSense is. But it is a GPS locator. It has alarm systems on it. And it also has one side listening capabilities and then also two-way communication. It is not a recording device. It is such a myth that it's a recording device. And schools that are aggressive against it are ignorant of it. And I think it's chosen ignorance, or I think it's tactical ignorance, simply because they don't want a bunch of these safety devices in their school system with the potential of having parents just being able to turn it on, which is one of the features. But understand that feature is an emergency feature. And with the high price, because it's like, if you're just paying month to month, it's like $55 a month. But it's like you have somebody monitoring the GPS on your child, which is slightly different than a lot of these companies that offer these type of devices that are different. AngelSense, is more people physically monitoring this like a security company. And I'm talking about the GPS aspect and making sure that the equipment works as it's supposed to. And so, it's a high price, but the price goes down if you pay in advance. So I think it's like $35 a month if you pay in advance, like a year in advance. It will break that amount down. But if it's just a straight up month to month, I think it's like $55 a month. So if you take that into consideration, what comes with that $55 a month? 60 minutes a month. 60 minutes a month, guys. I mean, every one of us have cell phones. Most of us have smartphones. Imagine using your phone for 60 minutes a month. And that is the data plan on there. If you want to turn on the listening capabilities on the AngelSense device or have a two-way conversation with your child, 60 minutes is all you get a month. That is 1 hour, guys, for an entire month. So to sit there and have a school system go, well, it's a learning device. Yeah, if you're a billionaire. Because if you go over that 60 minutes, I mean, it's outrageous, the overage charges. It's not what it's intended for. It's intended to be an emergency device. It's like breaking emergency glass, and you sit there and you walk into these buildings and everybody's afraid of knives and guns. But yet, in a lot of these buildings, we walk by and we see these hatchets or these other devices that could potentially, are technically weapons, hidden behind or just right there in open view behind glass, or even a heart. I'm in a brain. Even the devices, the defibrillators. All right, that carries an electric charge. But yet now those are hanging on walls. And they're emergency devices to where you break the glass or unlock it in order to get access to it. Are we afraid of those things? Don't those things carry potential dangers? But yet we're afraid of a GPS device because a parent might be able to turn it on for 60 minutes a month. 60 whole minute, 1 hour. And not only that is they market these devices aggressively to school systems for use in self-contained classes where we have a huge problem with elopement, and especially depending on where these schools are located. I mean, you're talking about busy freeways. You're talking about by deep woods, lakes. The latest reports is we have about 250,000 children that elope. My child was one of those. Now she's she would still elope. She's 16. Not like she would ever tell us where she's going. She just sort of would take off. So yeah, I have a double locked door in every door in my house. You have to use a key to get outside. And I do that to protect my daughter, because she just won't tell us where she's going. So I am one of those parents, and I see the value in AngelSense. And some schools have seen the value in that. But in the cases that I've had where I've negotiated the AngelSense device, you can turn off, that company can turn off the listening feature on that phone during specific hours. So if it was really about the listening, and some parents have got to be honest. If they get the device because they want to listen on what's going on inside the school, there's other things that you can get that are far cheaper. If you're really that curious. But if you're dead set that this is a device to help protect your child and keep them safe, to where you have an alarm system on there as far as the proximity, you can set that if your child is lost. And then if it was an emergency type situation, then they can turn back on that component. But what I've done in many, many situations is I've just negotiated with the school system to where the parties mutually agree to have AngelSense limit some of those capabilities, including turning on the listening component or the two-way conversation with the child, which I don't have a problem with, because the other features are there and active. So my question is, why would you need that? Unless you really are sitting there going, well, I suspect that they're abusing my child. Well, no school's going to sit there and agree with you. This is a negotiation. I don't agree with the news article to where they're trying to make it sound as though it's a recording device or a listening device, because 60 minutes a month is negligible when your child is there 7 hours a day. So, that argument, I would, throw it out. And then I would sit there and really hit home all of the other features and the fact that they market these to schools to solve this very problem. And, but that's where the argument to counter the school system is they're trying to make it into a recording device when it's not a recording device. It does not do that. In order for you to record, you would have to turn on the listening component and then have another recorder recording what's being. It's just ridiculous. But it's a myth perpetuated by school systems that don't want transparency, that do not really want parents involved, that only embrace technology from a one-sided, how does it benefit us as a public school system, and in a way to control the students and sort of protect ourselves. And that isn't how this needs to work. And in some of these situations, I have forced, as part of our settlement agreements, I've made the schools pay for the AngelSense device. Because if they don't want the parent to use all components and the parent's paying for it, fine, you pay for it, and then you set the parameters. And then at that point, you can sit there and not have the recording or the listening feature turned on during school hours. But I do respect you, Ashley, in that you're not backing down and that you are asserting yourself as your child's advocate. I will tell you, though, that just from my perspective, and this is just me as a neutral person sitting back watching this train wreck, you need your foot in the door on some of this stuff. And, there are many, many ways to skin a cat, and there are multiple ways to win a war. Okay? And I'm just being philosophical here. As far as how the perspective that you would need to have. And in this particular situation, if that is the singular problem, then that is just one tiny component of what that device would do to help safeguard your child. And in that regard, I don't have a problem with having the device not have that feature on during apportioned points of the day. All right? Embrace technology, but negotiate with them and get that foot in the door. Okay? Because I don't know if it really does depend on the judge you pull, because government tends to protect government, and their little arguments about privacy, even though it's BS, and even though there's no factual basis to it, you would need your attorney to really be able to educate the judge on every aspect of this, or else you would have the easy win for the school district just by making these BS privacy arguments and being able to frame the AngelSense device inaccurately as some kind of recording device when it's not. And that's where you really need to be aggressive and hitting back that it is not a recording device. It is not a listening device. Not at 1 hour a month. that's not a listening device. Okay? It's not what it's intended for. And always look at the intent of why that feature is put on that device. Okay?